Now that we've gotten some members of Congress from the Democratic side to say that there is uncertainty here, I have some questions for the two of you that have to deal with it. Not from a lawyer's perspective, not from a congressional perspective, but from the perspectives of somebody that's running a business and employing people and paying wages. Now, we've heard some talk here today that expanding the joint employer standard does not pose a real threat to the franchise industry, and the concerns we've heard here today are just part of an artificial special interest conspiracy. Indeed, Professor Harper's testimony claims that anxiety has been generated by lobbyists and lawyers looking for fees, not by any actual contraction of franchises, and that this hearing is in reaction to a lobbyist-manufactured tempest in a teapot. Now, I'm going to ask the two of you who actually have to deal with this every day, is this a real issue or is it not? Is this just a tempest in a teapot? Mr. Reese, you first.
Sure. This is 100% a real issue. I'm just getting started, so I haven't crossed this bridge yet with my franchisees, and I'm very well aware of that. But I am also very well aware of the money that my company has put up with the 145 employees that we have now, and the money that it costs to start a franchise business the right way. It is very costly. And we're talking about adding a potential amount of dollars for litigation down the road because we don't know what's going on. We don't, as you just stated in that letter, we don't have clarity. And so for somebody that's operating a business and still doing payroll, and we're a small business, it's a huge issue and a threat to our growth. And I really hope that we can just get some clarity on this.
Thank you. Ms. Thompson, you want to speak to that briefly?
Yes, Congressman Byrne. I would say I didn't know what the NLRB was when I was a franchisee either because they weren't messing in my business. But something that was suggested here earlier that we could just have an indemnification agreement, there's all kinds of problems with that. First of all, it would drive a wedge between me and my franchisee that I don't want to do because by the very nature, it would create mistrust and suspicion, especially around an issue as core and as important as the employer-employee relationship. And then those agreements, they give the opportunity for a lawsuit inside a lawsuit because if the provision's been reached, no one knows what the remedy is. And then by including such a clause, the plaintiff's lawyer would have an additional incentive to sue both entities, exacerbating the joint liability risk. And let's talk about what it would do to my EPLI insurance rates and how it would increase our rates. And then lastly, as I've said in my testimony, I shared that the unlimited joint employer standards have deeply harmed our franchisor-franchisee relationship. What Mr. Harper suggests would only make things worse. What we're looking for is clarity so that we can do business.
Thank you. I may make this observation, Madam Chairman, if I may. Every time we pass a statute, that changes the common law. When we pass the National Labor Relations Act, we change the common law. When we pass the Wage and Hour Law, we change the common law. And when regulators interpret the statutory law, the Supreme Court gives them deference under the Chevron decision. Right. So if we don't have statutory law, we don't have clarity because we have this agency saying one thing and that agency saying something different. And it is the province of the legislative branch of this government to set the law of America, not the courts. So this idea that we should defer to the Supreme Court and common law is ridiculous. And anybody who's practiced law, not taught law school, practiced law, understands that. Because we have to deal with it every day, the real world application of it. And these two people who actually have to deal with it when they employ people, they're telling us this is a problem. So I think it's incumbent upon us as the legislative branch to do our jobs and make the law for them. And I yield back.